It's time now for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lesante Show. Now here's your host, Sam Lesante.
Thank you for joining us, my friends. I want to show you a video, and pay attention to this video because I have a comment to make after it. Sam, you run that video. Okay, what we're looking at is an unborn baby, okay? I think that baby's alive, you know, doing very well. You see the arms, the legs, the head. Look at that. There's the face. Isn't that beautiful, God's creation? Isn't that fantastic? Just can't wait to be born and go into society. Okay. And there it is. I mean, you know, they say that they're unborn little babies just trying to survive. Now, here's my question. How is it that someone can get up in the morning, have breakfast or whatever, maybe kissed their wife, kissed their children, then go to Planned Parenthood where they work, go in the office, say hi to everybody, how's everything, great day, sunny's out, put their outfit on or what they can, and then proceed to destroy what you just saw. Pull little arms apart, crush heads, suck the brains out of them, then leave that day, go home and hug their kids and think they had a great day. How is that humanly possible for anyone to be able to do that? We have it going on every day. It gets worse. Today's show, you know, I'm a crazy pro-life guy. You know, why should we protect these unborn babies? Today's show, I have some great people on the show. Two probably newcomers to the show, and one has been here all the time. Now listen to me, folks. I'm all for women's rights, and we're going to talk about that. But what you just seen, I'm going to show it again after the break, that's a human being, God's creation. Now, I've told you many times, I am pro-choice. Before you have sex, that's your choice. After that, whatever God creates, He creates. You want to mess with God? You mess with God. I'm not messing with Him. My guest today is the Executive Director for Pro-Life Federation, Michael Ciccocioppo. Is that right?
Ciccocioppo, correct.
And I have Bonnie Finnerty. Notice I don't get names like Smith, Lesante. She's the Executive Director. And of course, no stranger to the show, my girlfriend, Maryann Lawhon, who is, now listen to this. She's the president of Pennsylvanians for Human Life, okay? So I just showed something, Michael, how it fascinates me. As a father, as a grandparent, as a person that I think creation life is so very important, how can anyone in their right mind feel good about getting up in the morning knowing that it's routine for them to destroy what we just saw?
Yeah, well, what we found is that these people who do this every day, they disconnect from the humanity of the child. They don't even pay attention to the humanity of the child. They focus on the woman who's there. She's coming in for a service. They're performing a service that she's asked them to perform, and they're just doing that, and they don't even pay any attention to the child.
We've had many stories, and Bonnie will talk about that, about some of the movies that have been produced. Why is it, Michael, why is it that we have people who see this and have no conscience to know that they're destroying a human being, let alone, as I said, God's creation? Because, you know, if you're a Catholic, if you remember Maryann, the Baltimore Catholic, who made us?
God made us.
Yeah, it wasn't, you know, my father made me, my grandmother made me. It was God created us, okay? So now you have people who think they're above because of selfish reasons, et cetera, et cetera. You know, I get ecstatic when I hear, I just can't visualize. You know, you said they disconnect.
Right.
How is it possible to disconnect yourself from human life?
I don't know, but we saw that happen in New York in January. Most of your viewers are probably aware that in January, the New York legislature passed a law legalizing the abortion of little babies, not only in their mother's womb, but all the way up to the moment of birth, and then basically infanticide. If a baby happens to survive the abortion attempt on their life, they would say it's okay to basically let that baby die or kill the baby. I mean, that's infanticide. That's not even abortion. And that was the New York legislature, and the governor, when he signed this into law, people cheered in New York. These are grown people. These are educated people. These are smart people. These are people who say they believe in science, I think. And to me, they're the science deniers. Because as you just pointed out in the video, the science tells us that at the moment of conception, this child is a unique individual. This is not part of the mother's body or part of the father. This is a unique, unrepeatable individual, unique DNA, unique chromosomes, and these educated people are just denying science.
Michael, we have a governor in New York, who is an Italian Catholic. We have these people who cheered. I have a little card. It portrays Jesus. And he says, this must stop. Okay? How is it possible for an Italian Catholic, let alone all the Irish Catholics who are pro-choice, who think nothing of this, yet they cheer? It's sort of like breaks your heart. Then, to add injury on top of pain, this is only my opinion, and of course I always get criticized for this. Where was the Catholic Church? Where was Cardinal Dolan? Where were the pastors of different places where these legislators who are Catholic, where were they? Now maybe they send letters I'm not aware of, and if they did, I apologize, but I did not hear anything other than Dolan saying something like, well, we don't want to do that because that's what they like us to do. Well, I don't understand that, okay? But yet they want us to portray what we have to do in saving lives. In other words, we're the sheep. But where are they? I talked to congressmen, particularly Congressman Barletta. I talked to them and said, look, Congressman, you have enacted, many former congressmen, things about pro-life. Did you ever get a letter from any priest, from any bishop, from anybody saying, you know, Congressman, thank you for standing for pro-life? His answer was no. Now, President Trump spoke at a pro-life last year, I understand. Vice President Pence spoke at pro-life this year. Did the bishops in the Catholic Church say, thank you for supporting pro-life? Well, to my knowledge, no. I'm just saying, where is the support? Here we are, battling as much as we can, hoping to save one life with this show today.
Right. Well,
okay. You've been doing it every day.
Every day. I've been doing this for 17 years.
Yeah.
I was a hospital administrator before that, and the Lord called me away from 31 years in that to come and do this. And I can't speak for the bishops. It baffles me too. But the Pennsylvania Pro-Life Federation is not a religious organization. We're not church related. We are people of all faiths who believe in the humanity of the unborn child and that it is a basic human right not to kill these children once they are conceived in the womb. You don't need to have a degree in theology or philosophy or anything. All you need to do is be a human being to know that human beings should be protected.
You have children?
I do have children.
When they were growing up, they did something wrong. What did you do? You scold them? You scold them, right?
Well, yeah.
Once in a while, you give them a slap on the fanny.
You might.
You know, didn't abuse the kids, but you
Sure.
told them what was wrong.
Sure.
Hoping they'd be right.
Right.
My point is, if you did something wrong, you should be told about it. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm not picking on the bishop. I'm saying
Right.
to me, I look at their concern about immigration. Okay, fine. But here again, there's a whole new story with that. We're all for people. We're saving lives. But there's a whole new story like that. Bonnie.
Yes.
We talked about some movies. And of course, the liberal press certainly will never, ever promote these movies. Because here again, they just love the fact that we should be able to kill anyone we want to kill. Sad what New York just did. And when I see these women with these signs, it breaks my heart. I know they believe, and we'll get to Maryann saying, this is my right, this is my right, you know. And we'll get to that in a second. Bonnie, tell me about these movies.
Well, in late March, a movie came out called Unplanned. It's the true story of a former Planned Parenthood director. She worked there for 8 years, believing completely in their mission. And this movie opened nationwide, and it's a game changer, really, because what we have is the true story of a woman who is completely devoted to Planned Parenthood's mission. After 8 years and a series of events, which culminated in her participating in an ultrasound-guided abortion and herself viewing this preborn baby at 13 weeks moving away from the suction tube that was going to steal its life. And after that, she could not unsee that baby, the humanity of that baby. You were mentioning before, how do people do this? I think what Abby Johnson and many of the abortion supporters and workers do is they do disconnect. They objectify the baby and see it as an it instead of as a who, as a human being. And for the first time that day, Abby Johnson had her eyes opened, and she could no longer participate in Planned Parenthood's mission. And she also began to realize that their primary core purpose was to perform abortions. It wasn't really to help women. Their services as far as pregnancy testing, STD testing, breast cancer screening were minimal compared to the abortion services that they were providing, and that a lot of their revenue, most of their revenue, was coming from their abortion services. So Unplanned is a true story that is very, very well told. It talks about Abby's desire to help women, how she got involved in Planned Parenthood, why she stayed there, and her moment of conversion. It talks about how prayer, 40 Days for Life, was instrumental in her having a change of heart. People just peacefully praying outside her clinic in Bryant, Texas, day after day after day, in a very civil way, striking up conversation with her. So when she had her moment of conversion, she turned to them. And now she is an active prayer warrior for 40 Days for Life. And she also started a ministry called And Then There Was None. And she has helped hundreds of women quit their jobs in the abortion industry. Because as she says, nobody is, when they're young, says, I want to grow up to be an abortion worker. Women sometimes get caught up in the lies that are told in society. And Abby helps them expose those lies and gives them the help they need to get out. So the movie is fantastic. It debuted 4th in the box office nationwide. It's still playing in some theaters. It'll be released on DVD soon. And I would just urge everybody to see it so the truth can be known.
Maryann, we've talked about women's rights. Right. And I talked to some people who I know very well. And, you know, this is my body. I think I have every right to decide. You're a man, you don't understand this. You know, you don't get pregnant, etc. And I tell them the same thing. I'm pro-choice before you have sex, and that's your choice. After that, whatever happens, God takes over. So what about these liberal women who think it, you know, they have these signs, you don't touch my body, etc., etc. Because I know you're an ultra-conservative. Mm-hmm. That was a joke, folks.
You know, I went to the Women's March this year, the day after I was at the pro-life march down in Washington, D.C. I went to the march that was held in Wilkes-Barre, the Women's March. And it was funny because it was a freezing day. I pulled up the covers and I said, you know, I did my job yesterday and the Holy Spirit had a different plan for me. And I tried to talk him out of it, but couldn't get back to sleep. And so I went down and I picked a beautiful portrait, which you had on your show the one day, from Jen Wintner, a beautiful portrait of a child in a fragile flower. And I thought, I'm going to carry that and I'm going to go to that march. And you know what? It's John, it's the memory of John. It's the memory of my own body. One time finding a child, a victim of infanticide 40 years ago. It was happening. But I picked up a child who was born alive after a botched abortion. And as I held him, I was pregnant at the time, but listening to that soft little cry as I held that dying child my milk came in. Every ounce of me and my womanhood said protect him, and my body was so designed that I held this baby close to me, and I could feel my milk coming in, and I just wanted to protect him and give him life. And so when I went to that march and I carried this beautiful picture of a child, this artwork that Jen created for me, and I was being taunted, laughed at. Some people would come, "What are you doing here?" Meaning with my sign. And I said, "I'm here to stand by every African American woman who has known what it's like to feel the society's cruelty to them. I'm here to stand by every Jewish woman who has known anti-Semitism. And I'm here to stand by any woman who has had an abortion and is regretting it." You know, I got laughed at and I felt terrible. I felt foolish there. And I'm coming back and I'm saying to the Holy Spirit, I pray in a different kind of way, you know, that liberal kind of way. What the heck did you ever have me go there for? And as I'm walking back, I see this woman who was a couple years older than me, and she said, "Oh, you were at the Women's March," but she wasn't looking at me. She was looking at that beautiful artwork of Jen's, and she said, "Oh, no, you weren't." And as I'm saying, "Yes, I was." And she said, "You don't understand. I had to abort my baby." And I said, "Stop. Don't say another word. Just think of what you just said, my baby. Is this the first time you gave dignity to that child that was once within you?" I ended up standing there for 45 minutes in the cold, ministering to this woman, hearing her story of why she went for that abortion, how nobody would stand by her, the finances, the abandonment, everything that took her there. So when you say, how do they do it? I had to abort my baby. Those words just stay with me. And I said to the Holy Spirit, okay, I give you one. But it is pro-woman. Pro-life is pro-woman. And this year, Susan B. Anthony, 100 years since she secured our right to vote, the first feminist, the mother of the feminist movement, she'll have a statue erected in New York, and kudos for her. And that's what real women do. We save our babies, we protect.
You mentioned something about how they jeered you and they laughed at you.
Yeah.
Recalls Father Stephen Brosk, who a very good friend of mine, and he sometimes he'll say Mass at our church at St. John Bosco, and he was able to give the homily on Good Friday. And you're there at Good Friday, and of course the Passion, where the people are saying, "Crucify him, crucify him." Okay, however, he mentioned something about how we in daily lives, where we are people that say crucify him. And he mentioned for those people who are not protecting the unborn baby, you may as well say crucify him. You may as well say crucify him.
Right.
Okay, but yet you're in church saying, you know, understanding what the Passion's all about, whether you're Catholic, Protestant, or Jewish, or whatever, Passover, etc. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. Father Brosk, who I think is excellent in giving homilies. I don't know if you ever heard him at our church, but he presented that in such a way, Mike, and that he said, when they're jeering you and cheering you, it's like saying, crucify him, which hurts me because you have Catholics, even people who participate in church, who think it's okay to be pro-choice. Folks, I'm talking to Michael Ciccocioppo. How about that name? Another great name, Bonnie Finnerty. We're going to change that name to Smith, and Maryann Lawhon, pro-life. Now, my senior friends, and for those people who have those signs out there, you know, we got to have, and Mario Cuomo, is it Mario Cuomo, the governor of New York?
Andrew Cuomo.
Andrew Cuomo. Should be ashamed of yourself. You should definitely be ashamed of yourself for being an Italian Catholic and permitting this to happen. But you know what, Andrew, we all die. God bless you. I pray for you. I pray for your soul. because you're going to have to answer to God and say, yeah, I killed your creation. I thought it was great. Hurrah for you. We'll be back right after this. Thanks for staying with us, folks. I'm Sam Lesante. Please download our app, SSP TV. All the shows we do are here. You could download the app and watch our show, my show, and scream at me on the phone if you want to. But today we're talking about saving lives, unborn babies, pro-life. You know, I'm a fanatic with that. I want to tell you a story about one of these girls, the women who had these signs. You know, Mike, if you want to kill a baby, kill a baby. She got in a bad accident, and she was put on life support. And they came in and says, "What good is this life?" She's on life support. She's 35 years old. Strong, pro-choice person. If I want to kill my unborn baby, I can. And they said, well, we really have no use for her anymore. And the parents said, how could you do that? How can you get rid of this life? Very easy. It's like they get rid of unborn babies. Brings me to euthanasia. I talk about my senior friends. Sam, I'm not going to have a baby. I know you're not, but you're getting old. And what happens when you're not feeling well and they decide, the same people who cheered when that idiot Andrew Cuomo, who's the governor, who should be hang his head in shame what he did, and those people who cheered him saying it's okay to kill unborn babies, okay, and they say your life's not worth it. Tell me about euthanasia.
Well, I think Pope Paul VI with Humanae Vitae did a pretty good job of predicting what would happen when abortion's legalized, because as you said, once you devalue life in the womb, well, when do you draw the line? When do you draw the line? So there is a movement in our country, and it's run by a group of people. They used to be called the Hemlock Society. They changed their name to Compassion and Choices. How's that for a name for people who are looking for euthanasia in our country? Yeah. Compassion and Choices. And what they've been doing since they got Oregon in 1997 to pass a bill to legalize assisted suicide, which by the way is a misnomer because there's no assistance in it. A doctor gives a prescription for a lethal dose of drugs to a person with 6 months to live. They go to the pharmacy, they fill the prescription, they go home, and whenever they're ready, they kill themselves. Nobody assists them. They've had this in Oregon since 1997, and now it's spread through a number of different states. New Jersey, our neighboring state, just legalized assisted suicide. In the General Assembly, Senator Dalen Leach from the Philadelphia area has got a memo out going around the Senate right now looking for co-sponsors because they tried the last two sessions to get assisted suicide passed in Pennsylvania and it never went anywhere, and he's going to try it again this year. And what they want to do is they want to take away the law that we have one of the strongest laws on assisted suicide in Pennsylvania right now. You may not assist another person in committing suicide under any circumstances for any reasons. It's a felony to assist a person in committing suicide, and they want to pass a new bill that says if a doctor wants to prescribe a lethal dose of drugs so that a person can kill themselves, that would be okay.
Maryann and I talk about this every time when it comes around election time, and we're saying about look for the people. I don't know of anything that's more important in life than human life. I mean, I know tax is important, and I know other things, but I don't know what else is more important than human life. So when I hear people say, Sam, this pro-life stuff, what about unemployment? What about Medicare? And I say they're all important. But how do you place human life? So when I'm saying, and I'm not being political, but maybe I am being political. If you read the Democrat platform,
right.
If you read their platform, what they stand for, that's why I'm not a Democrat anymore, okay? Because I'd be a total hypocrite, okay? Where it says pro-choice, everything that's immoral, and then you have guys like Jim Biden saying he's not moral, and we have Pelosi saying it is not moral. I mean, if you read what they do and what they support, and here it goes to popularity. If you smile and you're nice, I mean, they want to canonize Joe Biden in Scranton. I mean, no matter what the guy does, let's canonize him as saint because he's born and raised here. Well, that's wonderful. And I'm not being political, but I have to be political because we're looking at people who are pro-life. I know I'm crazy, but am I nuts here or what?
No, I don't think so. And I think Joe Biden saying that he wants to make his motto, make America moral again. And this is the guy that's been out there pushing the killing of innocent babies against his own faith and against his own upbringing.
Where is the Catholic Church? Where is his pastor? Where is the cardinal? Where are the bishops saying, Mr. Biden, listen, you're a Catholic. You should be not preaching this. Why do they let Eucharistic ministers who are pro-choice distribute Holy Communion without saying, look, this is not what we're all about. We don't have guts anymore. We don't have this, except Sam Lesante, who's on television, who's like a lunatic when it comes to pro-life.
Well, they may not be doing it, but let me tell you what, the Pennsylvania Pro-Life Federation is doing it. The Pennsylvania Pro-Life Federation are 40 chapters around the state. The grassroots people of Pennsylvania who believe in life, they are contacting their elected officials and they are letting them know that this is wrong what you're doing if they're doing that. And they're letting the good ones know, yes, this is good. Thank you for that vote. And we need people to contact their state senators and tell them, when this assisted suicide comes up, you need to vote against it.
Until it affects their lives.
It does.
And these poor women who've had abortions, and I pray for them, and they were misled, etc. I wish that, what agony that some of these women are going through.
Oh, it's terrible.
And that Planned Parenthood could give a crap about them. They could care less about these poor women. And here we are fighting, as John in the wilderness would say, I'm a sinner, there's no question about it. But the point is, I'm hoping when I die, God says, Sam, you try to save my creation. I'm hoping that, okay? And for those people who are so pro-choice, that think it's okay to kill that unborn baby, even Maryann, it drives me nuts. I can't understand it.
The thing is, when we look at assisted suicide or euthanizing our elderly, what they're afraid of is loneliness or pain or becoming dependent. What we have to respond with is love. I won't let you be alone. I'll stand by you. And I think the voice of John through my father, named John, spoke eloquently about our responsibility as their children, our responsibility as a society to stand by them. It's a womb to tomb. Life is sacred.
Folks, Pennsylvania Pro-Life Federation. They can certainly use, he didn't tell me to say this, I'm doing this. They can certainly use any donation they can. They do a lot to support the Pennsylvania Pro-Life Federation. They have a website, go to their website, whatever you do to help them out. I know, folks, I get some people upset. Love you all. I love you all. But we have to stop killing of unborn babies. And for those political people who have the power to control this, to slap God right in the face, to thumb your nose at your Creator, I shudder. For those people who are Catholic, who go to Catholic Mass, yet think it's okay for them, Planned Parenthood, to rip little arms and legs apart, shame on you, shame on you. Michael Ciccocioppo,
Thank you.
another great name. Bonnie Finnerty. Maryann Lawhon, I know that. Can't thank you enough for coming on the show,
Thank you
because
so
I get a
much.
chance
Thank you so
to
much for
vent
your work,
my
your
frustrations.
voice.
We got to do whatever we can. Pray for those people who've had abortions, and
Yes.
pray for them to be able to survive.
They're
I really
hurting.
mean that. And hopefully this will end someday. Thanks for staying with us, folks.